Arms. We're doing our inaugural fiberglass film series for
Yay!
Johnny Dark. Yeah, might be the only one, although we've got, what else do we have to put back up? The You Asked For It video and a couple other ones.
Well, there's a lot of ones on the TVs we never put up there. We've got film on Mr. North, I think it's called, which is a detective series. And,
oh, yeah.
What's the one about Rocky Jones?
Right, with the
Random
Random Stardust.
We can narrate too.
Yeah. So I guess not jokingly, it is our inaugural video for our Undiscovered Classics Presents. So today, these are two cars that aren't in the movie, but this is going to be our commentary on the Johnny Dark movie from 1954. You know, this was on the channel for a long time. Unfortunately, we had to take it down. This is what we're putting back up with our added commentary. And throughout the movie, we're actually going to break a little bit, and we're going to show you cars featured in the movie. One that actually was screen used, and others that are just models that are featured in the movie. So stay tuned throughout the movie. And I want to kick it over to Jeff, and Jeff can kind of talk about the significance and importance of Johnny Dark in era and its kind of enduring legacy for these cars.
Well, to get to a movie like Grand Prix in the 1960s and other ones of that stature, it's kind of a stepping stone. And the best review of movies in period that I found was actually done by Universal Studios in a 9-page, I remember, production notes on the movie Johnny Dark. In 1953, when they were filming the race scenes, and early 54, but I think mostly 53 from what Chuck Tatum and others who were racing in the movie told me. This was the most important sports car film of its era. Now we're talking 53, 54. We're not talking 1990 and 2000.
Right.
And to support that, you had some A-level actors and actresses. You had Tony Curtis, you had Don Taylor, you had Piper Laurie. Other ones of note, Scatman Crothers is in there. You may not know him, but he's a singer. He's at the piano. You've got other people who are in the movie. One of probably my favorite is the professor from Gilligan's Island. I've forgotten his Russell Johnson, I think his name is.
Where is he in the movie?
He's in the Packard Proving Grounds in a white coat. And he's the professor from Gilligan. So you have people at the beginning of their careers. You've got people who are at the top of their careers, like Tony Curtis, and you have all the best of the folks and best of the cars. And in 1953, the Corvette was being, just rolling out that year. In fact, they weren't available to the public, and I think they were all spoken for till the fall of 53, the fall winter. Not 52, but 53. It was announced early, but rolled out in late 53. And the Kaiser Durham, which had been announced a little bit earlier, didn't roll out to 54. So you had sports cars. America was just teething for sports cars. They couldn't wait to see American sports cars. There was design from the Sports Car Club of America, SCCA, which, by the way, did participate and support the movie in all the background notes. If you go through some of what are called campaign books or showman's manuals, which are in the UK and Britain, you'll see mention of the SCCA. And I think at the very end of the movie, there's a credit that says, we want to thank the SCCA of Los Angeles or California and so forth, that you'll see at the very end of the movie. So you had tremendous support, tremendous excitement. There were, when I talked about the campaign book, that's what theaters got to help promote the movie. It's several pages long. It's like a newspaper. They had contests. They had trophies. We have a trophy from Johnny Dark that they gave out for sports car enthusiasts who could bring their cars in 53. So what sports cars could they bring in 53? Well, that was the purpose of this movie. They were showcasing in the production notes all of the best designers that they thought were going to be impacting America's sports car design from years to come, and they were true in some cases. But in these cases, they didn't include any Corvettes or the Kaiser Darren. They included all the ones that are limited production, not all, some. Victress, a Glasspar, a Woodill Wildfire, that was the star of the movie.
Grantham Stardust.
Grantham Stardust, which we have one here.
Irwin Lancer.
Curtis Sports Car. Bowman Special, it was hand-built in Los Angeles out of aluminum. Chuck Tatum's car, which was built by Hegeman in Stockton, Northern California.
Now, the Tatum Special, though, that's the one that they used all the engine noises from, right? That's a GMC straight six motor.
Chuck was a good friend. We got him recording. I don't think we've ever shared those recordings of what his memories were of the movie. Not video, but audio recordings. Sure. And he said, they mic'd his car going up and down the mountain, and everything is a six-cylinder GMC high-performance engine, straight inline six. So
sounds more like a V8 than it does a
The best way for those out there who want to actually learn about the importance of this movie is not to listen to me, but to read the production notes, which are on the website from Universal Studios that they made available to a select few, written back in 1953 and 54 about the importance, the first time that helicopters were used to film scenes of cars overhead, a number of different innovations that were used in this movie, all of which have been forgotten about. Forgotten Fiberglass, Undiscovered Classics. It all started way before this, and they talked about those in the movie too, the very first sports car movies being like 1909, 1908, and they track it all the way up to 53. It's a fascinating kind of review of history, and a fascinating piece of American history, which virtually everyone's forgot. but not anymore if you read the production notes.
Right, and of course, obviously, that's what our goal at Undiscovered Classics is, bringing stories to light about these cars, the importance of them, the people that built them, the interesting histories surrounding them, and contextualizing them within the larger hobby and the larger evolution of sports cars in America. And they play a very important part. They had their moment for a period of about less than 10 years before they kind of disappeared from magazine covers. And it's all about reviving those stories, bringing them to a broader audience, and we've done that successfully at Pebble Beach Concours, Amelia Island Concours, so many other places, so much magazine Museum coverage.
LeMay Museum, Peterson Museum.
Americana show that you were on with Rick.
Jay Leno's Garage, AACA Museum.
Everywhere. Yeah. Absolutely everywhere. You mentioned the Packard Proving Grounds earlier, so I know there has been a lot of discussion I've seen for the people that have watched Johnny Dark several times over about the Packard Proving Grounds and filming locations, and I didn't know this until recently, but tell me more about what actually is the Packard Proving Grounds versus what's not, and how you knew the difference, because they kind of got it close, but there is a very discernible hint that tells you it's not actually the Packard Proving Grounds in some scenes.
The Packard Proving Grounds are absolutely important point of view. They don't talk about being Packard. It was actually their proving grounds for fielding motors and such in the movie. But the second part of the movie is actually in Los Angeles. If you look at the Packard Proving Grounds and the Johnny Dark Black Wildfire being tested out there by Don Taylor, who was the actor in the movie, you'll see mountains in the background. Well, there's no mountains in the Packard Proving Grounds up in Detroit. Bud Juneau, who's since passed on, wonderful gentleman, car historian extraordinaire, was a big historian and enthusiast for the Maverick Sportster and all the cars of Johnny Dark in the Packard Proving Grounds. He was a big part of preserving the Packard Proving Grounds and making it available today. They host events there of all kinds at the Packard Proving Grounds, not just car related. So in the second scene, the important moment of the Black Wildfire, you can tell they only shoot up to the roof because the roof is a pagoda. Absolutely, they didn't build it. So they must have built a facsimile of an octagon out there on a raceway, made it very much look like the beginning scenes, which I believe were filmed at Packard Proving Ground. I just can't remember right now, but if you go there, you'll see they're testing a variation of a Willys Arrow, and it's called the Fielding something or other, but Fielding for the movie. And they're testing it on the Packard Proving Grounds, and I believe they show the pagoda there because Willys was in Toledo, Ohio, not that far from Detroit, and in fact, the very first premiere of the movie in July of '54, as I remember, we've got those stories on the website, was in Toledo, Ohio, and Tony Curtis also wrote a piece about it, an article in their newspaper about it, and that's also featured on the website. And then the second premiere was in Detroit, which I think was supporting the Packard Proving Grounds and the support that you see up there. And then the official premiere was in New York on the official day. Right.
What kind of engine you got under those hoods, Mr. Emery? They don't sound like... Oh, 1956s, huh?
Look at those two. They still think they're flying P-51s. Bring those idiots in.
Take it easy, Emery. You can't get to the bottom of a steering problem on a test block.
Oh, hello, Mr. Scott. It's nice to see you down at the ground, sir. Anything I can do for you?
Not a thing, Emery. Who's driving those two cars?
Project Engineer Dark in the lead car, sir. Test driver Benson in the second car.
Benson and Dark, that figures. How's it going?
How's the test going, Dark?
Looks like you're still in business, Emery. How about you, Duke?
Same here, Johnny. Just like driving a baby buggy.
Hey, Emery, how about another try?
What do you expect, the steering wheel to come off in your hands?
The big boys stepped up the weight of this model, didn't they? Okay. Well, how do we know that the pitman arm won't crack under stress?
Because I okayed the design.
Everybody wants to get into the act. Who was that genius, Johnny?
That gentleman was Mr. Scott.
I didn't say a word.
Proving ground. Mr. Scott, it's Mr. Fielding.
Bring them in.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Jim.
Scotty, when will you get it through that thick skull that you're my chief engineer, not a grease monkey? Ed Winston just pulled in. You better get over here in a hurry. He's a stubborn fool.
That makes two of you. Why don't you listen to him for once?
Because I am running this plant, not Ed Winston's stockholders.
All right, Jim. I'll be up as soon as I take care of things down here. Where did those idiots go?
They took off for the obstacle course. One of those knuckleheads wrecks a car,
I'll spank them personally. Right?
This is it, Major. Put your wheels down. We're going in for a normal landing.
You're lucky you got out of that one.
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Benson, how many times have I got to tell you this is not Indianapolis? A test car with all that mileage on it is worth more than 10 guys like you. So help me, I ought to fire you.
Well, let me know when you make up your mind. Ford's been waiting to hear from me.
Benson, I'm warning you.
Duke had nothing to do with it. I told you this had happened. The pitman arm, a clean break. Mr. Scott, I've got a blueprint of a new one in my office if you'd like to see it.
Go take care of that cut. I'll be in your office in 5 minutes. I want this entire steering assembly sent up to analysis right away.
Junior. Now there's a design for you.
Oh, new, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Very new. Oh, me? Now. Yeah.
Me?
All right, men. You've seen it before. Come on.
Mr. Scott, you're trying to avoid me.
I didn't see you, Liz.
Now, that's just it. A person can slave in this office for days, absolutely ignored.
You're absolutely right, Miss,
Miss Kent, Johnny Dog, Duke Benson.
How are you?
Hi.
Well, what happened to you?
Oh, slight automobile accident.
Slight.
Yeah, you should see the car.
I'll bet. Mr. Scott, may I see you alone? If these gentlemen don't mind.
Why, Mr. Scott.
I'll see you in your office, Johnny, and take this character with you.
Honestly, Scotty, I'm just getting desperate. Dashboards, dashboards, dashboards. It's getting so I dream about them at night. One more, and I think I'm going to crawl right into a glove compartment.
Look, Liz. At Fielding, everybody's got to have patience. No matter what name you go by, young lady. You've only been working here 3 months.
I've been working...
No. You fight your battles with your grandpa.
Now, you know very well I'm not allowed within a mile of his office. Scotty, a big wheel like you could get me out of this monkey cage. Oh, I want to do something important.
Goodbye, Miss Kent.
But...
I'll see you later, Liz. All right, Johnny. Where's that drawing?
In the top drawer, sir.
Nothing like the orderly scientific mind. Wait a minute. What are these? Who authorized this?
It's nothing important, Mr. Scott.
Sports car design by Johnny Dog.
It's something of my own. I had the experimental design work it up for me.
Sports car for Fielding Motors? Are you out of your mind? Don't you know the boss's motto? Our goal, safety and strength for six. Six, the average American family. Signed James Fielding, president. Spheroid combustion chamber. Overhead cam.
It's a Fielding motor, Mr. Scott.
Even the basic chassis is right off the line.
Now, where's the Pittman arm design?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Scott, calling Mr. Scott. You're wanted in Mr. Fielding's office now.
It took me 20 years to get him to put in a loudspeaker system. Now I can't get away from it. All right. Make out a work order for a couple of these and I'll sign it. As soon as they're ready, we'll test them. Real bright friends you've got there. Horsing around on a test track.
I think he likes me. He's right. You could have been hurt.
Forget it. Did you see the way he looked at these? It's a good design, Duke. I know it is.
Sure, it's a good design, but what good's it going to do us on paper?
Someday we're going to build this car.
I know. Out of baling wire and paste.
Well, it's the public speaking, Jim, not my syndicate. The public just isn't buying enough of your cars.
And I say they'll never buy enough to please you fellows.
What round?
The last. They're both on the ropes.
You people buy into an industry. All of a sudden, you know everything about it. Safety and strength for six. Six, the average American family. A soundly engineered, comfortable automobile. That's the formula on which I built this company.
All right, Jim. Let's forget current production. I want to know what you're doing about the border-to-border race this summer.
I never heard of it.
Mr. Fielding, the industry's gotten together to introduce the American sports car to the public. It'll be a race of international importance.
The data's in your folder, sir.
Is this it?
Yes, sir.
Jim, you shouldn't have done that. The sports car is a legitimate concept of design and engineering that's sweeping the world.
As long as I am running this company, a Fielding will look like a Fielding, not a contraption for overgrown hot rodders. Now, anything else on your mind, Ed?
Jim, a fight for control can be an ugly thing. And our stock holdings are larger than you imagine. We acquired the Harding block last week.
Dan Harding would never have sold without telling me.
Call and ask him.
Scotty, do something.
Get hold of Kennedy and Owens. Tell them I want anything in the department they can find that could pass for a sports car. Sketches, blueprints, anything.
Darling, we didn't even have a convertible or a station wagon till last year. What do you expect to find?
Yeah, you're right. Anything that crew sends up would look like Jack Benny's Maxwell. Adam, get Johnny Dark in engineering. Tell him I want all he's got on that sports car. Tell him to bring the stuff here. Anyway. Hey, good to see you. Sorry I was held up. So am I. But you know how it is when you have a new project on the drawing board. Oh, Jim, about that X-150 model. We're just about ready to... I'm sorry. Kind of forgot it was top secret.
Scotty, would you kindly explain what in the
What makes me think anything is a secret from Ed Winston? You're right, Jim. Ed, we're going to build a sports car that should be the answer to anything Detroit can throw at us. And when that Fielding comes roaring down the finish line this summer... Well, maybe I'm crazy, but just a minute ago, Jim was swearing he'd never build a sports car. The Atom boys have nothing on Jim when it comes to secrecy. Right, Jim?
Well, maybe I do like to keep things under my hat. At least until I know they're right.
What does she look like? What's under the hood? Now, hold everything, Ed. I said she's still on paper. Now, look, I understand you production men don't like to let these things out, but if you could just give me an idea. Abby, locate Johnny Dark. Tell him, like it or not, I want him to bring all the sports car material to this office. You know, these engineers can be pretty reluctant boys when it comes to showing their brain children.
Your reluctant engineer's just arrived.
What took you so long? Wait here.
Wrong end.
Thanks. And look at this. You shorten the frame and gets his strength from this cross member and saves 200 pounds. As a matter of fact, this whole power-weight ratio should produce outstanding performance. It's a good idea, Jim. In fact, very good.
Well, this sort of relegates your standard chassis to the scrap heap, doesn't it? Let's not forget that this Model X150 is an experimental model.
Well, what about the styling? Is this it? Well, Jim hasn't okayed it yet, but whatever we come up with should be pretty good.
From what you've shown me, I can believe it. Russ, Wallington, how's it going to feel to have something new to sell, huh? I've always said there's nothing wrong with any business that fresh ideas won't cure. Jim, it's going to be a pleasure to report to the boys that Fielding Motors is on the right track.
Yes, as Fielding Motors has always been. Now, when you finish your tour, Ed, we'll meet for lunch. Right this way, Mr. Winston. You'll find quite a few changes since last year.
Tremendous changes, Mr. Winston. An entirely new filing system.
After you, sir. Who is this?
This is Johnny Doc.
Oh, your engineering genius.
Just his right hand, sir.
Well, come in, come in.
Go on in, genius. We'd better keep that right hand up.
Your idea for a spheroid combustion chamber strikes me as being pretty good and fairly new.
It's not too new. It's about 10 years old, although I've added some pretty special wrinkles.
Well, I hope they're wrinkles and not bugs. Doc, I'm authorizing you to go ahead with this project. Well, what do you say?
That's wonderful, sir. I just don't know how to thank you.
Don't try. Just run along and put that car together.
We'll have all the departments move right in.
What does that mean? That I move out, Mr. Scott?
Well, it's a tough assignment, Johnny. You'll need help.
Well, don't misunderstand me. I want help. I just don't want to be moved out to left field, that's all. I don't know how to make you understand this, but, well, I've lived with these plans for such a long time, and...
Don't worry about it, Johnny. It's your baby. You'll be in charge.
All right, Doc. Any other conditions?
No, sir. Mr. Fielding, you're going to get a car that'll make anything else in this plant look sick.
The kid's eager, Jim. He can't stop punching. Don't hold it against him.
I've no intention of holding anything against him, not even for coming up with that harebrained design.
Jim, you can't mean what I'm thinking.
Just what you're thinking. That's Exhibit A for Winston whenever he shows up. After that, I never want to see or hear of Dark's car again.
Without a chance, without a trial, just like that.
Just like that. I'm playing for time, Scotty. If Winston wants a proxy fight, I'll be ready for it.
What happens to Johnny Dog?
That budding young genius who's going to make my cars look sick? Until he learns that we make practical cars for practical people, he isn't worth a thin dime to us.
He's going to be a mighty unhappy young man.
Well, if he gets too unhappy, Scotty, you can hold his hand for him. And, Scotty, I want that car ready for Winston on his next visit.
I've met a lot of mean, miserable men in my life, but never anyone as ornery, as
self-opinionated, as egocentric, as downright cantankerous as Jim Fielding.
Abby, I don't know what I'd do without you.
I've been telling you that for years.
Now, Abby.
Oh, look at you. Pale as a ghost. Anybody think I was proposing to you?
Abby, what am I going to do about that boy? Kind of reminds me of myself when I was a kid.
You're going to tell him?
Maybe. But I'm not licked yet.
Now, I remember reading in the production notes, they actually used the Willys plant for the offices for Fielding.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what I thought, I talked to Jeff about this because when I was watching the movie and then reading some of the history about B.R. Woody's attempt to get the Woodill Wildfire to be Kaiser's sports car before the Darren came into the scene, seeing the thread of consistency of our hero, Johnny Dark, in the movie, trying to push a somewhat outdated design, not sporty design company, Fielding, kind of the stand-in for Willys, to do a sports car, which in the movie is actually the Woodill Wildfire, and that kind of being squashed. I almost thought, wow, there are some kind of like art imitates life parallels in here, because VR Woody pushed really hard. You have those kind of behind the scenes notes from Willys that actually evaluate the viability of the Woodill Wildfire to potentially be the Willys sports car, which is just irreplaceable ephemera and incredible reference. But I'm reading through those notes. I'm reading through some of the ways that BR Woody in publications and newspapers almost pre-sold the Wildfire as the Willys sports car before Willys had even signed off on it. So then to see Fielding, which in my mind is a stand-in for Willys, say no to the car again in the movie, it's kind of an art imitates life. And then not only that, you have the Kaiser Darren, which ultimately did become the Willys sports car when Willys had been bought out by and merged with Kaiser. Not used in the movie, but used for promoting the movie. You've got all those great photos of at least one, maybe two Kaiser Darrens with the overpainting promoting the movie parked in front of theaters in Detroit, Michigan.
I think in Detroit and Toledo. I don't know if they did that after.
Yeah.
But those two, they probably, if they did, we'd probably find them in the next. We'd find someone would send it to us. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Of all sports car contests in the world, the 24-hour race here at Le Mans, France, is the most demanding. It is now the 7th hour, and the French Gordini still leads. Through the long night, the interest of the spectators never lags.
Car's got to be tough to take that 24-hour grind. So does the driver. Remember that, Duke.
Hello?
What's going on?
Turn on the lights.
Hello.
Welcome.
I brought some preliminary sketches, Mr. Dark.
Oh.
I'm Miss Kent, remember?
I remember Miss Kent. Body styling.
Of course.
Well, here, let me help you.
I worked all night getting these out, Mr. Dark. Of course, they're still a little rough.
You worked on these?
Oh, I don't have to tell you how excited I was when I found I was assigned to this project. You could have knocked me over.
Me too.
Well, allow me to introduce you to some of our staff. This is Smitty, one of the best all-around mechanical engineers in the business. But a wolf. Better watch out for him. Oh, this is Carl Svensson, specialist in carburation, father of 5.
6.
6. You can trust Carl, within reason. I'm Duke Benson, test driver, the best. A trustworthy escort for all occasions. Oh, and that's the chief. Nothing but hydraulic fluid in his veins. Pay no attention to him.
Skirts on a sports car, Miss Kent?
Well, if you want a fender line, Mr. Dark.
Well, they can also cause brake fade. Brakes need air. I suggest you take a look at my original drawings.
Well, I already have. Mr. Dark, a car isn't just a means of transportation. It should be a thing of beauty, something to live in.
What, no stove or refrigerator?
All right, if you don't like my ideas, that's all right with me. But I don't have to stand here and be insulted.
Well, this looks very pretty to me, Miss Kent.
I think the placement of the radio between the seats is very original.
So do I.
That is not a radio. Of course, you have to figure it out, but you see, when a drop of rain hits this gadget here, the top goes up automatically. You see?
We don't want to hurt your feelings, Miss Kent. But, well, we were expecting a... Excuse me.
I know. Somebody important. Top man.
Marge, this is Johnny Doc. I'd like to speak to Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, Styling just sent me a Miss Kent. You know, the lady with the dashboards. There must be some mistake.
Couldn't break anybody else in, Johnny, so I gave you somebody new. A stylist with a fresh idea or two.
And she's got 'em all right. Thanks. Well, I guess you're it, Miss Kent.
Well, I wouldn't want to be forced upon you, Mr. Dark.
That's all right, Miss Kent.
And I certainly wouldn't want to interfere with your ideas.
That's very nice of you, Miss Kent.
Well, I'm glad we understand each other. If you want me, I'll be in my office.
Hi, Duke.
Hi.
We're invited to Scotty's tonight for dinner.
Social climbing, huh? I've got to go home and get dressed.
Hey, Duke, wear your own shirt this time.
Ha! And that's Jim Fielding and myself sitting in our first car. We did our own testing in those days. She did almost 60. And that was fast enough for us to get our first order. 3 Fielding specials. Went right out and bought me a brand new hat.
And he hasn't had it off since, except to eat. And maybe to sleep.
Just leave my hat out of this. And let's give Miss Kent a chance to eat.
It's Liz. I'm afraid I've eaten too much already.
The hungry guest is thrice welcome.
I'll drink to that.
Johnny.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. We mustn't disturb the genius at work. Because the body does look a little lumpy.
Lumpy? Okay. The Idaho Special. The fastest potato on the table.
What are you doing?
Moving the wheels a little closer. Lights, everything enclosed in an envelope body. Made out of fiberglass.
Could be. You know, you're catching on fast.
With all that talent, you're complaining?
Who's complaining?
Oh, now he wants you. What are you, Liz, a woman or a mouse? Don't answer that.
Scotty, don't you think it's time you said something?
You're perfectly right, Abby. I think it's about time for another toast. I give you the success of the X-150.
The fastest car on the road.
To the most beautiful.
The winner!
Against all obstacles.
It's wonderful, Liz. What do you think, Smitty?
She knows what I think. I've been telling her all along. It's great.
You know, Liz, I always knew you'd do a good job.
From the first moment you saw me, I know. Well, I'll make the changes in the morning. It won't take me long.
Liz, I hate to ask you, but could you make the changes tonight? I promised the fiberglass boys I'd be ready for them in the morning.
Nothing doing, slave driver. The lady's been working every night for 2 weeks. Tonight I'm taking her dancing. If you'd like to drag along with us, I'm only kidding, of course.
Why don't you, Johnny?
What?
You could stand some time off for yourself. We're going to Pineland.
Maybe I'll join you later.
Well, don't knock yourself out.
Liz, if you're smart, you'll take your own car. It's a long walk back.
Hey, Johnny, the master brake cylinder's awful close to the exhaust. Of course, I could put an extension to the frame, weigh about 10 more pounds, but... Hey, Johnny, I said...
Smitty, why don't we just follow the plans?
Well, I guess you could put it all into one paragraph. High school, college, and art school. Every bit of it by working my own way. My family didn't have a penny. Of course, in a way, I guess it was sort of fun. That's all there is to tell about me. I'm just a dull little cookie. Well, how about both of you? I want to know everything.
Well,
having gagged at birth on a silver spoon, I was immediately sent to Princeton. Happily expelled, I joined the Air Force.
One at a time, please.
Well, I was...
Go ahead.
Thank you. I was merely going to add that modesty forbids me carrying all my decorations with me, but if you'd care to come to my apartment, I believe that there
You'll find pictures of them leering at you from every corner. Captain Benson, war ace. Major Benson, squadron leader.
If it wasn't for my trick knee, Colonel Benson commanding a wing. Now, how about this dance, my lady? Huh?
Just a minute, pal.
What's the matter?
Using that trick knee for sympathy is a little played out, don't you think? Liz, how about it?
How about all of us going home?
Good night, Scat.
Good night, folks. You can take my car, General, and follow us.
Forgive him, Duke. He never went to Princeton. Lots of gold, huh?
Lots.
Surprised?
Not particularly.
I had a supercharger installed.
Supercharger? I thought this car was familiar.
Oh?
Scotty asked me to supervise the installation. He said it was for a member of the Fielding family.
Oh, really? Who?
A dame by the name of Liz Fielding.
Stinker.
Look, you can call yourself the Duchess of Kalamazoo. I don't care.
Well, Johnny, what do you think?
I'll know a lot more after that airport race Sunday.
As long as she's ready for the big one this summer.
Anyway, Mr. Fielding, she sure looks good. Miss Kent did a fine job, don't you think?
Jim, I just got word the race will start at the Canadian border and finish in Mexicali. But then you've got the details on the entry forms. I was hoping now that you've seen the car, you'd kind of take a hand in things personally. I sent the entry forms up to your office.
Good. Abby'll know just what to do with them. And now, if you've finished with my granddaughter, you can send her back to the styling department. It didn't work, Scotty.
What's with him, Scotty?
Nothing. Forget it. Come on, Liz. Let you and I take a spin in this thing.
Listen, they don't handle like the old races, Scotty. Maybe you better let Duke check you out.
That's completely unnecessary.
How'd she go?
Oh, she's a beauty. You'll have to tromp hard in those brakes Sunday.
You mean you are?
No, Junior, you. I'm not gonna be there. If you don't believe me, ask Emery. Fired me this morning.
What's he talking about, Emery?
I've had enough of this maniac shenanigans. He got out here this morning in a Y model and broke every traffic rule in the book. Well, he's had it.
That jerk's been gunning for me ever since you got me this job.
I'll talk to Scotty about putting you on as a special driver for the X-150.
Wow, that was fun, Scotty.
Weight, cubic displacement, wheelbase. What? No blood pressure? Well, guess that does it.
Abby, you'll mail out those forms right away, won't you?
As soon as Mr. Fielding signs them, I'll lick the stamps myself.
Now all I have to do is find myself a driver for that airport race Sunday.
I heard about Duke. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, we've got a real car. You know, one of these days, sweetheart, I'm going to take you for a ride.
It'll have to be soon.
What do you mean?
Well, Scotty will kill me for opening my big mouth, but
What are you driving at, Abby?
Johnny, it was a waste of time filling out these entry forms. Fielding will never sign them. If he does, they'll never be mailed. And if I'm ever going to have a drive in the X-150, it'll have to be in our dead storage warehouse.
All I'm asking for is a reason, that's all. Is there something wrong with the car?
Let's say you didn't have the age or experience for the job.
Did you have the age and experience when you and Scotty built your first car?
Young man, are you comparing yourself to me?
Shouldn't I?
You've got guts, Stark. I don't know how much that'll help you to get another job. This is my business. I run it the way I want it run. All right, I'm not firing you. I'll tell Scotty you're being reassigned back to his department.
You can tell Scotty I quit.
Johnny, Andy told me. I can't believe it.
Well, now you can't. I just got it from the horse's mouth.
Liz, I didn't expect you to walk out on me, too.
My name is still Fielding. You tell me how I can walk out on that. At least we got to finish her. And she was beautiful.
Is beautiful, girl, is. Both inside and out.
You don't even shoot a horse till it breaks his leg.
Someday you'll build her again, Johnny. Just for yourself.
That's a dream, Liz. The X-150 is real. She isn't just paper anymore. You can touch her, you can see her, you can drive her. She could even be in that race someday.
Sure. Why not? Then what would your grandfather do, Liz?
Oh, he'd blow his top. He'd absolutely blow his top.
That settles it. We can even paint her red.
And her grandpa won't know the difference.
You're both crazy. If we're caught, will they put the three of us in the same cell?
Check, miss.
Yeah. This is Mr. Scott. Stolen? Oh, no, no, no. We moved her to the warehouse this afternoon. Oh, that's all right. Good night.
This is the Grantham Stardust, and Jeff is going to tell us all about it and its significance.
Well, Grantham Stardust started in 1953. Fred Grantham was the owner, and there was a design company as well, and employees that worked there too. And we've had a chance to interview two of the employees and the Grantham family, not Fred Grantham. Fred Grantham had passed away, but his son, actually three employees. His son was the third one. So we know quite a bit about these cars. They made about 12. With any of these fiberglass specials, most of them weren't serialized. So 12 was the number they kept from the employees, from the family, and so forth. And of the 12, we know of 4 that exist. This, from David DeLuca's, is the one that's been owned the longest by one family. David DeLuca's grandfather bought this from a movie talent director. He was at Catalina Island, and they actually bought it from a movie family, which gives some you know, the Grantham Stardust was used in TV shows. It was used in movies. And this is the one that was most likely used in most of those. You can talk about that later.
Sure.
Grantham came out in 53 and kind of ended in early 54, maybe mid 54, but not before being in magazines, being in movies, being in TV shows, being in car shows. It was the Motorama, 1953, at the Peterson Motorama in Pan Pacific Auditorium. It was in, surprisingly, the Michigan Motorama, 1954. And we got photos of it there. It was written up in all the books, and then they disappeared forever. But we found 4 so far, and this is the closest one. This will be the first one restored.
And out of all the Granthams, this is probably the most unique because we've got pretty certain confirmation it's the actual movie car from Johnny Dark, the Tomahawk.
Yeah, actually, when we, given the movie history and given the history that we have in the other ones, this was the only one that possibly it had the strongest relationship to. It had all the right, each car is a little bit different. The trunks were cut differently, the hoods were cut differently. This one matches in every respect. And also it has white paint.
Yeah.
You see all the white paint all over it. So when you're sanding this car down, we're going to be looking for Tomahawk where? Right about there. So
right about there, yeah.
Don't use the dual action airspeed sander. Just try to softly take more time, charge David DeLuca, and see if you can find Tomahawk.
Did they have Tomahawk written out, or was it just the logo? I thought it was just the logo. It was
No,
both.
written out, yeah,
okay.
you can see it.
Yeah, so you'll have Tomahawk across here and then the logo of the Tomahawk underneath it.
Most likely it was done in water.
Yeah.
So it probably is not there. But you never know. We
easy to recreate.
We found meatballs before in cars. Meatballs are the big white circles for racing.
Right.
And I'd be very surprised if this one. This is what we call a sport custom. If it looks big to you, it is big. It's 110-inch wheelbase. Cars like the Corvette are around 99-inch wheelbase. Glass bars are 99. Victor's S1s are 99. Not everything is 99, but 85% is 99. The others are the Victor's S4, the Maverick, the Grantham Stardust, the Venus, and those are about 110, or the Maverick's like 127, 123. It's a Cadillac chassis. So this had actually some unique pieces, had the most beautiful sculpted windshield, and Rob actually has those parts now. It's 2 big pieces that weigh, the originals are in bronze, they probably weighed 40 pounds.
Really? Wow.
And
was
we
it
made
just
them
the
in
side
aluminum.
post, or do they have a center post as well?
Well, they have, these are actually original to it. There we go. And depending if we like them, we may keep them, but I'm just not sure they're going to match in color. We made these also for the new ones. But these actually fit into, there's a slot for them into the base. Real pretty base.
Kind
the
of
most
like
beautiful windshields, just like a piece of art.
Got it.
And these come also with grills. They're vertical grills. They're all cast in bronze, and ours are cast in, no, I think ours is cast in bronze. We did do that. Rob, I showed you those a week or 2 ago. So I don't like the mirrors here.
Is David going to ditch these? Do we know if he's getting rid of these?
Well, he's going to be using the race version as the model. So if there's any questions, Rob, as we go forward, we use the race version as the model for this car as we bring it back. Maybe we'll find Tomahawk. They do have trunks. It's a big car. The last employee I talked to was about 2 years ago, and he was not a car guy. He was surprised that any were still around, let alone 4. And he said, it was really kind of funny because a lot of people think this looks like the Kaiser Darren, sloping down, very swoopy. And if you bring Rob and then move the pictures back, you'll see how curvaceous the back is as well. But it has a lot of characteristics of the Darren, which is a 99-inch wheelbase. The Darren is built on a Henry J chassis, 99 inches, but thinner.
Okay.
The track is much thinner. So it's possible Darren, because this was done right on Sunset Boulevard, that's where the shop was in Los Angeles. And Darren was very much a part of that whole scene going on with Glass Bar and Woodill and so forth.
It's a small club.
So it's possible he was there, but given the employees and the owners, his name never came up. So he may have been a visitor, but not a contributor.
I see.
My thought. Who knows?
All cars to starting positions. All cars to starting positions.
Now, Duke, for the first couple laps, I want you to take it easy.
Yeah, I know. And watch out for the pit signals.
Right.
Yeah. Johnny, why don't you go on over and sit down and relax? It's in the bag.
Good luck! Scotty, I can't stand it. We've just got to win. It's the only way Jim will ever forgive us.
Stubborn jackass. You should be here with us.
The leaders have just completed lap number 50. 25 more to go. But the boys are not settling down. If anything, they're getting a little more reckless. The way these boys are driving, it's still anybody's race. Here's the first break in the race. The Ferrari's in trouble and has pulled off the course. Duke Benson is out in the lead. Is the Idaho Special and the ability of Duke Benson to stay up there with Phil Hill's Italian Ferrari. To do now is play it safe, but wow, look at him go!
Hey, slow down! Will you slow?
Quite a bit of excitement in Duke Benson's pit. They've signaled him to ease off, but no effect. It's my guess that Duke is out to break the course record. Ambulance to the U-turn. Ambulance to the U-turn. Spectators will please remain where they are. Stay off the track, please.
I almost won it for you, Johnny boy.
You okay?
Oh, yeah, sure, not a scratch.
That's all I wanted to know.
Johnny! What's wrong with you?
Johnny, the brakes went. So help me. Coming around that turn, I lost them. Maybe it was a brake fade.
Then the brake drums would be hot, wouldn't they? Oh, you can do better than that, Duke. How about this one? You got dust in your eye. You couldn't see the road. You couldn't even see my pit signals. You could only see the people in the stand cheering you on to a new record.
I'm sorry about the pit signals, but those brakes went. Coming around a turn, Okay. Forget it.
Johnny, he was trying to explain. You didn't give him a chance.
I gave him my card, didn't I?
And that's all that means anything to you, that card. Well, you can have it. Duke!
Hello.
Well, hello. Johnny, we've been getting ready to drag for the body. Where have you been the last few days? Here, have one. Plenty for everybody.
Thanks.
Hi. Smitty. We found out why Duke had brake trouble. You put the master cylinder too close to the exhaust.
I told him you had a weight problem, Johnny. It was a tough decision for you to make.
Thanks, Smitty. I made the wrong one. Maybe I had my mind on other things.
Just the same, if Duke had pulled into the pits when his brakes started to go, we would...
Svensson, I thought you'd be at the ballpark these nights.
Huh, with the home team in last place, who wants to watch the slaughter?
You're crazy. You'll never get it ready in time. What about parts? What about equipment?
What we need, we'll borrow from the plant.
How about the body?
That's Liz's department.
Your loyalty is very touching, Miss Fielding.
Well, maybe you've forgotten I helped design her. Of course, winning doesn't mean as much to me as it does to some people.
Okay. You think I killed a guy?
It's a wonder you didn't.
Hey, what is this between you two?
I'm sorry, Abby. You got an opening for an unemployed engineer? I got references.
And at the last report, practically every major company will be represented when the border-to-border race starts next week. Incidental report. One of the top pre-race favorites, the Thunderbird, will be driven by Duke Benson, the boy who had all that tough luck at Eagle Point Airport race several weeks ago. If his car hadn't failed him, Duke tells us, he would have been an easy winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who just tuned in, we are speaking to you from the starting point of the border-to-border race, a 3-day, 2,200-mile grind from Canada to Mexico. A race, by the way, that is expected to show the shape of things to come in the American sports car. Oh, and speaking of the shape of things to come, we'd like to have you meet Miss Border to Border, symbol of the sports car beautiful. She'll be with us for the next 3 days. Miss York, how about saying hello to our vast listening audience?
Hello, vast listening audience.
Thank you, Miss Border to Border. Now let me give you a preview of the other beauties around here. On my right is the Tiger Special, a Cannon Motors entry powered by an engine capable of achieving over 300 horsepower.
Dookie,
Hello.
I just can't wait for Reno tonight.
Uh-huh.
What time do you think you'll be getting in?
What time do you want me there, baby?
Oh, Dookie. Of course, I'm supposed to be rooting for everybody. I just can't help rooting for you.
Me too, Dookie.
Liz. Be right back, baby. Business. Liz, I was hoping we might have dinner tonight. First car's expected in Reno around 7:30. Of course, we could make a dinner at 6:30.
Wonderful. At what hospital?
We'll be waiting for you, lover boy. We got a car here ourselves.
Sure, you got a car, but have you got a driver? You got a pretty good right, Junior. But in this sport, you have to shift gears with it.
I'll keep it in mind.
You'd better. You haven't driven for a long time. You take these mountain curves like you're on a merry-go-round, you'll wind up over a cliff.
Okay, Major, consider me briefed. Now I'm gonna brief you. You've been goofing off long enough. From now on, you're on your own.
Okay, Junior. War, huh?
Yeah, a brand new one.
All drivers into their cars. All drivers into their cars.
Don't forget about our date, Liz. Join us when you get in, Junior.
Here's the next car we're going to feature that is making an appearance in the Johnny Dark movie. This is not the actual Glaspire G2 from Johnny Dark, but it's a really great example of the exact same model. We do know where the G2 is from the movie?
No, we don't.
That one's missing.
We
Okay.
have, there were 9 cars in Johnny Dark. The interest, there were 2 different Wildfires, a black and a red one.
Okay.
And we found both of those. But the Glaspire and the Lancer and the Curtis Craft,
Got it.
they're
Missing
examples,
3.
like this is a Glaspire example. But we don't know which one. We know characteristics of that, of the one that was in the movie. and we just never have gone back and looked to see exactly which one it might be. Excuse me. It was light green, as I recall. It had a spare tire well in the back and so forth. But the dash is usually the key. If the dash is original, is still in the car, every dash is different.
Mm-hmm.
And you can. I did a story once called "The Dashboards Are the Fingerprints of the Vintage Specials of the 50s." This particular one is a body. It's a Glaspire G2, unmodified. It's owned by Tony St. Clair, and we were working on one of his ones that I helped him buy, not helped him in terms financially. Looking at a long time ago. And he sent it down here to be restored and worked on by a couple of our folks, Ralph Smith and Rob Hernandez.
Oh, beautiful motor. Studebaker powered?
This one is, yeah.
Yeah.
And just when we started working on that one, on a Willys chassis, he found this one. And so he sent it down with a brand new chassis, custom chassis, and he sent a Studebaker down. I've forgotten which year, but it's a Studebaker V8. And Ralph did all the work, Ralph Smith, and he did all
really
the chassis
close.
and the brake work and the engine work, and it's all running and driving. And now we're bringing it back to Tony in a few weeks, which will be the end of 2023. And then hopefully Tony and Kate, his wife, will start getting it and finishing it sometime in the next year or two.
These are cast aluminum for the grills?
Actually, we've cast aluminum. We've done that before. We ran out a few years ago. So we've got an original grill, and we'll have to make some more in the future if we can.
I mean, one of my favorite things about the Glaspires, besides how beautiful they are, is that they were one of the first at the Big Bang, right? You had the Brooks Boxer, which was the original Glaspire before Glaspire was Glaspire, as far as the G2 goes. And this was one of 4 that was at the 1951 Peterson Motorama. You had the Glaspire G2, You had the Irwin Lancer and then the Scorpion and the Wasp, two smaller cars, but these were the full-size ones. At the 51 Motorama,
Glassbar was a Glassbar
Yeah.
G2, the Ken Brooks car, which was an identical. That was the very first was there. And Ken Brooks' car has never been found. It has a cut hood, which is kind of rectangle. So we should be able to find it. I've been looking, about 70 Glassbars, haven't found it yet. But it'd be fun to find the original one. I did find one of the original Wildfires, but we're keeping that for a story in 2024 if we bring it down. So,
all right, and I'm going to test your knowledge once again. Who was the driver of the Glassbar G2 in Johnny Dark?
We actually did find all the 8 drivers, and we did confirm who was driving what.
Cool.
But I don't know which one, but it probably was, since it doesn't come to mind, probably one of the stuntmen. Johnny Dayheim may have been it. What was the Glassbar called in Johnny Dark?
Oh, what was the Glassbar?
I think I remember.
Dark. Okay, so the Grantham was
the Tomahawk.
The Victress was the Thunderbird.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. No, I think that's right.
Lancer was a Comet.
Right. Yeah. What was the Glassbar called in the movie?
I think it was the Flying Arrow.
That sounds right.
I think so. It was Flying Arrow.
Yeah.
And the first car to start is the Tiger Special. And folks, I wish you could see her. As sleek as the animal she was named for. An entry of Cannon Motors. Now the Thunderbird, Whirl Motors, a heavy car but lots of power, with Benson driving a real threat. Next the Tomahawk, driven by that veteran driver, Louis Tomei. Number 14, the Flying Arrow. Now Fielding's Idaho Special, Johnny Dark driving. Already on their way to their chartered planes are squads of mechanics, loaded down with every kind of equipment. Flying ahead to the first night stop in Reno, they will be prepared to make any repairs their cars may need. And there goes the last car, winging south to Mexico, leaving this peaceful little Canadian town, which for the moment has held the spotlight of sporting history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is John Heaston signing off for now. And I'll be following the race by air all the way to Mexico, giving you an above-the-spot report. So far, no cars have been passed. All cars are maintaining their starting positions.
Spread out a bit now, but the lead position remains the same. The first car is the Tiger Special, followed by the Thunderbird and the Tomahawk. The cars will be hitting the Oregon line soon, and I must say the state highway patrols are doing a magnificent job.
What kind of a fool do you take me for? You and Doc have been building your own sports car, or didn't you think I knew? You couldn't enter her unless you called her a Fielding, so you falsified the entry forms.
All right, Jim. As soon as she's won the race, I'll deny she's a Fielding. And I'll tell the world she's a Scott. Then I'll sit back and watch the orders roll in.
I see. Now you're going into business for yourself. Why, when I took you in with me, you couldn't add 2 and 2.
I added up all right back in '36 when we were broke, when I engineered that Harding loan.
And that's about all you ever engineered for this company.
If that was true, you would have fired me years ago.
I should have.
It's not too late.
You bet it isn't. Abby, bring your book. Abby, I want you to have Ross release the following to the press. Fielding Motors regrets to announce that after an association of 30 years...
32 years?
After an association of 32 years, Mr. William H. Scott is leaving its employ on account of other personal interests. The company wishes to announce further that this will take effect as soon as Mr. Scott has cleaned up his desk, a matter of 2 weeks. 2 days. Did you take that down?
Yes, sir.
Normal. She's running like a dream. Take it easy. These curves don't straighten out for a while.
Spun out, but made a beautiful recovery and continued with only a few seconds lost. But those few seconds have allowed number 18 to move up a position.
This first lap into Reno, Nevada is over 800 miles and will take the last measure of endurance from car and driver.
Thanks, John. This is station KTJT Reno, Nevada. Sam Davis reporting. In addition to John Heaston in our spotting plane, we'll hear from our ground spotters and coordinating police patrols.
Patrol car at Sector 4. Last car in road race is just past our checkpoint. Highway's now clear for regular traffic.
Okay, Sector 4. Checkpoint 5 now reporting.
You're doing great, Johnny. Just great.
All clear here. Sector 6, attention. Clear your highway. First car's through in 30 minutes.
Just like a merry-go-round, Duke. The Thunderbird is now out in front, and Duke Benson has the road all to himself. But things are happening back there with the other cars. The Idaho Special is crowding the Flying Arrow, and it looks like Johnny Dark is making a bid for 4th position.
Take him on the inside, Johnny. Nice going. Now for the Tomahawk.
At the halfway mark, with 400 miles to go to Reno, still in first position is the Thunderbird, followed by the Tiger Special, the Tomahawk, and the Idaho Special.
Scott. Talk to Fielding. That's what I said, Ross. Check with him. Besides, I'm very busy right now.
All right, Abby. Go ahead, ask him.
Mr. Fielding wants to know if you intend leaving with certain obligations unfulfilled. Mr. Fielding thinks it is very unfair to the stockholders for you to walk out with certain important projects unfinished.
Tell Mr. Fielding he should have thought of that in the first place.
Tell Mr. Scott if he thinks I care a snap personally, or if he thinks I've come here to beg him to stay, he is mistaken.
He couldn't be mistaken about anything. And tell him not to shout. I'm trying to listen to something.
Don't shout, Mr. Fielding.
A man in my position has certain responsibilities.
Yeah. In first place, the Thunderbird. Second place, the Tiger Special, followed by the Tomahawk.
Followed by the most ridiculous cars ever manufactured. All right, Abby. Tell Mr. Scott I have changed my mind. If he thinks that pile of junk of his has any chance anywhere, he's lost my respect. His opinions could be of no possible value to me anyway. And tell him if his car finishes better than last, I'll buy him a new hat, which he can use looking for another job.
Tell him to put his money where his mouth is.
Why, Scotty, are you suggesting a real wager?
I'm suggesting a bet for money.
5,000 too much?
Make it 10 and pick your own car.
The Thunderbird.
You see, Scotty? He studied every car in the race. He knows Duke's the favorite. Make him give you a handicap.
With his judgment, he's got a handicap.
You're so right. And of that $10,000, I'll take $5.
This is a 1953 Victress S1A, and it came out of Pennsylvania. It's been up there. It looks like it was born and raised up there where we found it. This is the same body style that was used in Johnny Dark. Johnny Dark used a Victress S1A, now owned by Alan Emery. The one that they used was built by Virgil Rice of Hellings, which is really cool because Hellings was the first dealer for Victress and the only dealer for Victress, and was actually building and selling them early on for a very short period of time before they actually just sold the bodies and opportunities for people to build them with frames and chassis. And this was one that was built. They ordered a body. The chassis is not from Hellings. It's not from Victress. Now, as I recall, and it had a flathead, had a rebuilt flathead, drove beautifully. This is one of the few cars we found with column shifting, and we restored it with a column shifter. Ralph did, and oh, beautiful.
These struts or openers, what these are? What,
from the
these are original struts.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, from the era. They're not from Victress. They're probably off of something like an MG or some sports car.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. You know, Kaiser used
Merrill
some.
Powell said he used them, and you know they worked out well for him.
Oh,
yeah,
really? Okay.
Kaiser had some Frazier in the late 40s. They used them for the hood, one or two.
Okay, now I'm really going to test your knowledge, Jeff. Do you recall who drove the Victress S1 and Johnny Dark?
Dick Freeland was an Indy driver.
Oh, okay.
And he actually, Dick Freeland, I believe, and I had a chance to talk to him late in his life to confirm and talk to his wife. This is probably 15 years ago. But Dick Freeland was the driver of the Victress, and we knew that from talking to Merrill and Patricia Boy Smith. It's been a long time. I may have the last name wrong because it's been 10 years since I thought of it, but I believe it's Dick Freeland.
You were saying that most of the guys that were driving for the actual driving scenes were...
They were Phil Hill, Phil Hill, which is not Indy, but a race car driver, very well known, probably the best. We had Louis Tomei. We had, there were some stunt drivers, which later went on to drive in Bullitt and Grand Prix.
Oh,
well, not Grand Prix, Bullitt. And we have all lists. It's on the website and in the book that we've done on Johnny Dark, all the listed drivers. What was cool is the other drivers, like the Lancer was driven by Eric Irwin, who actually built his own cars.
Right.
And Chuck Tatum did his own, Tatum Special.
Looks like it's the Tiger Special behind us. Dark's nowhere in sight. Straight away, Johnny. Take him. Now, what are you waiting for?
leading, followed by the Tiger Special. And here's a flash. Just beyond the Nevada state line, the Tomahawk spun out, and the Idaho Special is now in third place.
Reno, 5 miles.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking to you from the corner of East Commercial Row and North Virginia Street in downtown Reno, beneath the arch that says Reno, the biggest little city in the world. And here they come! The first car through is the Thunderbird driven by Duke Benson.
Hey, Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just received word from the Highway Patrol that the second car, which is number 17, driven by Phil Hill, has just passed the 5-mile sign.
Guess who?
Duke Benson, king of drivers.
Right on schedule. Come on, baby, let's go eat.
Duke, did you see him? How far back do you think he is?
Oh, who knows? Come on, I'm hungry.
So, go eat.
Thanks. Come on, baby, let's go.
We're gonna wait for him.
And starve to death?
That's good enough for me.
The second car through, the Tiger Special, driven by Phil Hill. Here comes the third car.
It's Johnny.
Shadow Special with Johnny Dark driving, the third car through.
Good driving, Johnny.
Bill sounds okay. Third isn't bad, Johnny.
No, not bad, Junior. Now maybe we can go to dinner, huh?
Wait till we finish with her tonight. Then we'll really show you some stuff.
What was wrong?
Nothing important. The ignition of the fuel pump. I don't know. Where's the garage?
Back of the Riverside Hotel.
Come on, Spence.
Hey, wait for me!
Ignition checks out okay, Smitty.
Ignition okay, Johnny. Must be the fuel pump.
Could be the gas line.
Some of those guys practically rebuilt their engines.
Why not? They brought half their factories with them.
Come on, let's get with it. Liz, you know, we're liable to be here all night.
All night? Well, I guess in that case I better stick around.
What for?
Well, just in case you need some moral support.
Yeah?
Yeah. Go back to work, Slade. Hey, what time is it?
1 o'clock, but we found it, Liz. Sediment in the gas tank. Whoever welded the tank after the wreck must have left his shoes in it.
Oh, even a shoe would taste good to me right now. Johnny, how are feeding me?
Smitty, get us something to eat. I gotta check every inch of that gas.
Give me some ham and eggs. We're going to be here till morning.
Oh, that's silly, Johnny. Look, you're going to the hotel and take a shower, and then we're going to get some dinner, and then you're going to relax.
Liz, will you please leave me alone?
It is a pleasure. Go ahead and fix your old gas line. And suppose you do lose the race. Who cares?
I care!
Liz! Gotcha. I want to talk to you.
Oh, Duke, it's so late, and I've got a
And you
headache.
want me to have pity on you and let you go to bed, huh? This is Reno, remember?
I certainly do, and I don't care if it were China. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm snapping at you for. You're a nice guy.
If I'm such a nice guy, why don't you come and talk to me?
You certainly pick the strangest times.
Well, I'm a creature of impulse, Liz. Oh, come on, how about it? My idea ring any bells?
Not the kind you're thinking of.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
By the way, where is Johnny?
That mechanic? That self-centered, egotistical, narrow-minded...
Oh, Liz, you got me all confused. You just spent half the night with a guy.
I just spent half the night with a clogged gas line. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope he never gets it fixed. I hope he comes in last.
You want him that much, Liz?
All I want is some sleep. Good night.
Going up?
No.
Come on, Johnny.
Better get some coffee or something.
I thought you said you were going to wake me.
How is she? Alrighty, come on, let's go.
The race starts in a couple of hours.
The lap today into Las Vegas is a short one, stressing speed and more speed.
Dookie!
Duke Benson, having come in last night 2 minutes ahead of the number 2 car, will start 2 minutes ahead today. And now with pleasure, we present the Honorable Pat McCarran, Senior Senator from the state of Nevada, who will drop the starting flag.
Smitty, the coffee and sandwiches. The chicken's for you. Cheese for him.
Look, Liz, about last night. It's kind of hard for me to apologize, but now when anything happens to the car, I just forget about everything else.
If you like, I can refresh your memory.
That's the trouble with dames. You never forget anything. Look, Liz.
Come on, Johnny. Let's go.
This is your reporter, John Easton, back with you again, picking up the second lap from Reno to Las Vegas. At this moment, the Tomahawk is running fourth, but driving hard and pushing Johnny Dark, who is in the number 3 spot. The Tiger Special is second, and the Thunderbird is holding the lead.
Miles to the pass and then down into Bishop.
What?
20 miles to Virginia City and then down.
Are you all right, Smitty?
Sure, I'm fine.
The Tomahawk just spun out. And was that a close one? Louis Tomei just missed going over a cliff. But due to some very fast and expert handling, he did a complete spin around and kept right on going. Those boys down there really got what it takes.
And there goes number 44 of the Tomahawk. According to our latest report from John Heaston, it'll be a few minutes before the next car comes through. And incidentally, John is now switching from a helicopter to an airplane, so he can keep up with the terrific speed these cars will make on the flat. We will hear from him again right after our next station identification.
Ground spotter report. At the 300-mile mark, Duke Benson's lead is less than half what it was this morning. Phil Clark in the Tiger Special is number 2, but losing ground, with Johnny Dark close on his heels. All of which points to the fact that not only Dark, but his car has staying power, stamina. Dark is continuing to gain on Duke Benson.
Did you hear that, Eddie? Tell Jim Fielding to start counting out that 10,000.
You've broken my radio.
Where are you going?
Radio in Scotty's office. Mr. Fielding.
Dark must be doing 150. Can't you squeeze any more out of it?
She's open all the way now.
147. Upgrade, sharp turn to the left.
The Tiger Special, being crowded by Johnny Dark, spun out on a sharp left turn. Dark, holding to the inside, took the curve beautifully and is now in second place. Duke Benson had better look to his rearview mirror. Since we've hit these desert straightaways, the Idaho Special has gained steadily on the Thunderbird. The big question is, can he keep it up?
Which turn, Smitty? Which turn? Smitty! Left! No, no, right, right!
Pan's cracked, leaking oil.
Can we make it to Vegas?
I don't know, but we can try.
Duke Benson is still out in the lead. That unfortunate spin out and delay cost Johnny Dark his second place, but it hasn't slowed car or driver.
We're out of oil, Johnny. The pressure's gone.
This would be a 52 Lancer, at least in the style. They came out The first public showing of one in terms of a magazine was Road and Track, December 1952. So that's this style. And the last style that came out was a Frenham modification that you saw sometime after that, probably 54, 55, and it was actually in a magazine in the late 50s as well. Lancers are really cool because Lancers are bigger. First of all, they were the first fiberglass car out in 1951 by 1 month. Glass Car came out in June 51, and Lancer in May 51. There are 4 Lancers that we know of. Of the 4 Lancers, 2 have original chassis as built originally from the Lancer plans. He has a brochure, yeah, he had brochures on Lancers, but he also had a poster on how to build the whole car. And one of them is this perimeter chassis, which means he uses the front end intact and the rear end from existing cars, often Studebakers or Fords. Those would be the popular ones for him. And the center is a big box, big perimeter box. And that allows you to put the seats down and lower. So this has a low center of gravity, lower than Glass Cars, lower than any other one. And in fact, predates the Corvette chassis that did the same thing by about 10 years or more from 1963 when they went with a perimeter chassis, meaning narrow rails up front by the engines, goes out to the sill plates, the rocker panels, plenty of place to drop down to sit. And then the back, you have, again, conventional rear end. Of course, the Corvettes had independent rear suspension, which was outstanding starting in 63. So this is one of the 2 Lancers that still have the original chassis. This one's been restored. I'd like to make it into the clone for the Johnny Dark car. If not, then we'll see if Barry Fagan wants to. Someone should. We'll have a Johnny Dark class somewhere in the next few years, and it would be fun to have this car. This will be the second one ready. Joel's will be terrific also. It's a modification on the front, but we can use his too. There'll be a fight for the Johnny Dark one. I found a Grantham Starless in 2005 and 6, and Rick had found this car up in a junkyard. I ended up acquiring both over a number of years. The Grantham pretty quickly because it was for sale, and this one took 4 or 5 years. I needed to go up there and show them it was done in the 50s and show them brochures and so forth. And then made arrangements to buy it. It took a long time to actually convince them what it was and what it wasn't and how historically important it was. And we kept everything intact for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bruce Branson covering the border-to-border race from the heart of downtown Las Vegas. Just before going on the air, I was notified that Johnny Dark's Idaho Special, which was in second place, ran into trouble about 20 miles from here. Here comes the first car.
He was right behind you.
Oh, he's always behind me. Don't worry, Liz. It's going to be just the way you wanted it to be.
Like I wanted it to be. What do you mean?
You said you wanted him to come in last.
Duke, I'm not joking. He's in trouble.
What?
He may be hurt.
Oh, don't worry, baby. He can handle himself.
Pardon me, Dark, but what's the story? What happened?
Can't you leave us alone?
Well, lady, I just wanted to find out what later. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as we check with the officials, we'll have the correct timings on each car as it comes in on this lap from Reno to Las Vegas. And according to Dark's co-driver, that cracked oil pan spelled finish to the main bearings. Add a frozen engine, which means a major overhaul, putting Johnny Dark definitely out of the race.
Well, it looks as though I win a bet, Scotty.
Unfortunately for Dark, his car was entered without a full complement of mechanics and without extra equipment. All of which means in our book that Fielding Motors didn't do right by Johnny Dark.
But it isn't a Fielding.
Sue me.
Well, if they think it's a Fielding, I've got this company's reputation to protect. That fool kid. If he had as much brains as he has guts, he'd have known he was licked yesterday. Call transportation. Have a company plane stand by. I want that car back in this race.
Even if it cost you $10,000?
Even if it costs me the $10,000.
Transportation? This is Mr. Fielding's secretary.
No use. Cylinder walls are too badly scored.
We're dead, Johnny. We need a whole new block.
Well, looks like the war's over. Might as well get some sleep.
Who needs sleep now? Night, Liz.
I'll clean up this mess in the morning if I'm not too badly hungover. Night.
Good night, sir. Tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna take Las Vegas apart. This pile of junk has come between us for the last time. Liz. So I lost the race. Who cares?
I care.
Oh, Liz. I had it coming to me.
Well, anyway, it was a wonderful try.
Well, don't just stand there. Liz, get Johnny to his hotel so he can get some sleep.
It's no use, Scotty. The block is shot.
That's what I figured. Boys, there's a block in there. Haul it out.
Oh, Scotty.
This final day's run takes the cars down through the California desert to the Mexican border, a distance of some 400 miles from here. The most important development since yesterday is that the Idaho Special is still in the race. Somebody has pulled off a minor miracle, but it'll take another miracle for Dark to overtake the first three cars. Duke Benson's Thunderbird, Phil Hill's Tiger Special, and Louis Tomei's Tomahawk.
Gonna be all right, Johnny.
Scotty, I can't thank you.
Just get in and drive. You'll keep your eyes on the map this time. Tell them in advance.
Tiger Special second, and the Idaho Potato is third, but rapidly overtaking the Tiger.
Come on, Johnny! Come. Duke Benson has driven a fine race, and from here it looks like he's the winner. Johnny Dark is still third, but it looks pretty certain that he'll take the Tiger Special, which will bring him in second. And at this moment, the Flying Arrow is making a bid for fourth place.
Johnny? Look at him, he's crazy. We got him, Johnny, we got him.
The fastest potato on the table.
Huh?
Johnny Dark has passed Duke Benson with less than a half a mile to go.
Come on, Johnny! Come on, Johnny! Hey, after 20 years you can stand a new one, and I'm squandering my winnings.
Hey, you finished.
Oh, Johnny! Oh!
Congratulations. That was a fine race, son. Thank you. And Liz, you didn't fool me for a minute. I knew all the time you were tied in with these pirates. That's quite a contraption you have there, Dark.
You might be interested in it, Jim.
Have a look. What is this?
It's an engine.
I know it's an engine, but that's a Fielding. You told me...
No, you told me. Remember?
Great car, Mr. Fielding. Wouldn't mind having one myself.
Yeah, thank you.
How soon do you expect to go into production?
Well, that's a question you'll have to ask my chief engineer, Mr. Scott.
Well, all I can say is...
Well, you better get this down, boys.
The motto of Fielding Motors is, give the public what it wants when it wants it. Production plans will get underway as soon as Mr. Fielding and I return to the factory.
Scotty?
Come on, Doc.
We did it, Jim. We did it.
Why not? It's a Fielding.
Hold it.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. Thank you. Congratulations, Junior.
Thanks, Duke.
I guess I briefed you too well. Over here, Duke.
Johnny,
Huh?
how long do you think it would take you to build another X-150?
What?
Oh, just a little one. About so big.
I'll start on it right away.
Don't you think it'd be a good idea if you two got married first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, Junior, take off.
This is the hero car of Johnny Dark, the Woodill Wildfire. This isn't the Fielding experimental sports car. This is not the Idaho Special, but it is a Woodill Wildfire. So it's the exact same model of car used as the hero car in the movie. And we figured what better car to wrap up with than kind of the main star of the show, even though a lot of the other cars are beautiful and kind of steal the spotlight in their own moments. But I thought this was a good opportunity to talk about the importance of Woodill kind of in the larger movement of the American sports cars in the early 50s. So give me a little bit of the history of Woodill.
Yeah, I mean, this one's going to be, Mike is going to be going through, he just recently received this Woodill. It's a body, had been a running car years and years ago up in Columbus, Ohio, and he's going to be going through what you kind of saw in the movie. He's going to be building your own sports car, and the golden era of doing that was when there weren't other sports cars to buy. A number of guys who built their own sports cars in the early to mid 50s, in the late 50s, I asked them, how come you didn't build another car? Why? He said, because I could buy used sports cars from Italy, from England, from other places that were available, and I didn't have to build everything myself, thank God. A lot of them actually replaced with Ferraris, the Ferrari engine with a high performance, reliable Chevrolet engine called bow tie Ferraris, that's what they're called. But at the time in 1953, you have to look at the context of 1953. 1953 was the most interesting year for American car design and sports cars that I'm aware of. 1953, the Corvette debuted. I believe the Studebaker, Laurie Studebaker design also came out. The Oldsmobile Fiesta came out, another what it was considered a sports car back then. Not small like the Corvette,
right,
but another one. 1953, the Kaiser Darren was announced, and they started becoming involved in 54. 1953 was the last year for the Ford Flathead. 54 was going to be the Y-Block and others. So much was happening with design, so much was happening with sports cars. And Universal Studios wanted to be in the middle of it to say, this is an exciting movie. These are Phantom Stardust and Lancers and other cars, glass bars. And they didn't include, which is really interesting, a Kaiser Darren, which they used to promote the movie, and they didn't include Corvettes. So you're really showing what's happening at, I call it a boutique or a bespoke kind of level, when people were building their own sports cars or having other people build it for them. Now, that movement, 55, 56, almost all the early companies ended, and new ones started out. And the big players in what I call the Gen 2 fiberglass sports cars were Devon and Ladari and Kellison and Bocar, the four. And then after that came Fiberfab and tons of other companies too, really. But your original designs, like the Woodill Wildfire and the Glass Car and the Lancer and the Granton Stardust, 1950s, all the original designs happened. 1960s, maybe 10 cars of original design. Others were clones or copies, similar copies to cars that existed, from the GT40 to the MG to everything. Kind of started looking to me like almost a 240Z, which was years later, but Banshees and Valkyries and others. So this was the era. This was the era. You could go to Europe and have your own sports car built. You could have a custom body made. You could drive a very limited production car. If you go to America, you had to build it yourself, typically, or hire a company to do it.
Right.
Europe, they built it for you. America, do it yourself. 1955, Time magazine covered the do-it-yourself phenomenon in America. And they covered actually building your own sports car as part of that, building your own house, making your own repairs. All of that in 1955 was still a hotbed of activity.
Very cool. Now, do we know how many Woodills actually left, or how many Wildfires left the Woodill factory? I mean, did they start with like 10 production cars, or was that glass bar?
No,
they only did bodies.
Probably 2 or 3 production cars. Okay. That was it. Woodill was just, they had Howard Miller, terrific foreman. His family has been very helpful in some of the history. And he was also years and years ago with Frank Cornell, who was the Woodhill historian at that point. Glass bar, we had Frank Hecox and others, and Dennis Gerdes helping give us information at Burley. But Glass bar maybe made 3 to 5 factory cars.
Okay.
Woodill made maybe 3 to 5, and 5 I'm being very generous with both Glass bar. Most of them didn't realize if they built their own car, it was called a factory car.
Right.
And they were really quick to say, look, we built fiberglass, we built boats, we didn't build cars. God forbid you find one of our factory cars. So you can find a factory car. It means the exact opposite. Probably, there's only been a couple out there. Everyone claims they have a factory car. First, it doesn't mean anything. And second, they were not built at a high level. The ones that were built at a high level were people who were building race cars and sports cars, just beautiful things, in many cases designing and building their own body. So
very cool. Well, that's it for us for our commentary on the John Dark movie. Thanks for following along. Hope you enjoyed seeing some of the cars in the movie. They are still out there. We are restoring several of them. We have restored several of them, and more popping out of the woodwork every day. So if you see one out there, let us know, and don't let it get crushed. Save it or send it our way. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Just wanted to take a minute and say thanks for subscribing and following the channel. It really means a lot when you guys comment and share our videos. And to that end, a lot of the analytics we're seeing on the back end here in the YouTube Creator Studio is that we've got a lot of people watching videos, but not necessarily a lot subscribed. And if you get the chance, subscribe to the channel, like, maybe even share the video, and we'd love to interact with you in the comments. So appreciate it and enjoy.